Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Ron Amlin from SBM St. Louis, and we are here today talking all things marketing. And we're here with Dan Klein and Jeff Roberts of Spoke Marketing. Hello, guys. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Ron. Thanks for
Thanks for
having
having
me.
us.
Well, it's great to have you guys on here. For those who don't know, Spoke Marketing is the columnist for our Marketing Works column, which appears each month in our edition. And we're here today to talk with them about their latest entry, their latest column, which you can read within the link below. All you have to do is click that. And in this month's column, Dan Klein wrote a great article about the customer buying journey. And Dan, if you can kind of tell us why you thought that was an important article and an important idea to get across to our readers, talk a little about that.
Well, I think kind of one of the parts of the title is it's not how people want to, how you want to sell, it's how people want to buy. And most companies kind of fall into a trap that, whether you're a software company or like any kind of services or products, you walk in a store, they think it's all about what they have to sell and what they have to talk about. So they kind of spew out features, functionalities, right, benefits, but they're not really thinking about what the buyer wants or needs, or even where they are in the process. And most of the time, don't even know who their ideal customer is.
And that's a problem, definitely. Give me an example when we talk about this customer buying journey. Give me an example of how a company like yours or any company would take a client through this process.
So we start by thinking about, or getting people to think about, who their ideal customer profile is, right? There's a couple ways to go to get started with that. I'll just share somebody that actually had a fellow marketer. They sold marketing, and wanted my help building a plan. And of course, they knew me. And I won't name names, but she told me that as she was building the plan, she wanted to sell. She wanted to take part in eWomen Network. She got 5 clients from eWomen Network, and she wanted to do more of that. And so as I went through the process, which I actually kind of looked at what her revenue was by client over the last year, and looked at every single one of them and what they got, I asked questions like, where did you get this person? And, were they profitable? The funny one I asked is, were they a pain in the ass?
Right,
Would
right.
you work with them again? And what was the service or thing that they wanted? So, and when we got done with this little exercise, she indeed had gotten 5 clients from eWomen Network, all of which weren't profitable and all of which were a high pain in the ass. Conversely, what we uncovered was 7 of her top 10 were all in the same industry, and they were all profitable, and they all had the kind of the same pain. And so what it helped us define is like, well, let's go look at this one. That's our ideal customer profile, and identify that, and then come up with a plan for how to take them through the buyer's journey, right? Now they knew more, because as part of the journey goes, it really is, if you think about your sales cycle or your sales stages, and a lot of people don't think about that. But the first often starts with the first meeting, or somebody walking into the store to ask some questions, and that is very much in the awareness stage of things.
Yeah,
So,
I love that because so many times business owners that I talk to, they're so tied up in the tools of marketing, whether it's SEO or social media, direct mail, and they don't take that strategic step back and really look at, who are your most profitable customers? I mean, who are you really trying to go after? And then once they kind of figure that out and then learn the customer buying experience, and then kind of take your toolbox out after you figure that out.
and if you think about each of those stages, and you think about what marketing needs to happen in each stage, for instance, if your goal when you first meet somebody is to get them to take a demo or try something, or right, and then your goal then is to get them to buy, what marketing has to happen. And that's where Jeff comes in. in thinking about blog content or social media posts. Social media posts may drive somebody there. A blog on a particular topic, like buyer's journey, for instance, might help somebody think about what they need to do in that. An infographic that compares cost or something, or a case study that backs up what they're talking about, might be done when they have a proposal stage, right? So content gets created at just the right time and right place.
Jeff, what are some questions business owners can ask of themselves when they're thinking about this buyer's journey, and then when they're trying to pick the right tools to take their clients along on this process?
I think it's a case where they really need to take a look at who, and their basic questions, but identifying who are they selling to, what motivates them, to buy. And more importantly, I think what the customer buyer journey does, it breaks it down into stages. We always talk about awareness, consideration, decision, success, where the purchase occurs. And I think it breaks it down to a point where they can really understand how to create messaging that is not only effective, but directly addresses where that buyer is in their stage of the journey. Like Dan said earlier, it is really about how they want to buy versus how we want to sell to them. And I would secondarily say, I've worked at quite a few communications places, and everyone talks about the customer buyer journey, but I think one of the things that makes our agency unique is it's the anchor of what we do for our clients. It's a strong foundation that we can always refer back to make sure anything we're creating is syncing with what that is.
Yeah, and I love how you separated that out in the awareness, consideration, decision, success, all those segments of that customer journey. And then the fact that you may need different marketing tools at each point of that journey.
I have a good example of that. We worked in, and I will name a company that both Jeff and I worked with, is web.com. So it's like a GoDaddy or a Squarespace. You had to understand a bunch. You actually had to understand what journey these guys sold to people that were starting companies. So are they starting a company because they've dropped their job, or is it, something they're adding on, or, but you had to understand where the stage of starting the company was, which isn't even part of the buyer journey, right? It's like, wow, I've come up with a name. Now I need a URL. Now I need a website. And so, content that Jeff would create, depending on the stage, might be where, have you even thought about how you register your company and where you get the URL and how you come up with the name, right? As opposed to they have the website, the content kind of goes towards how do you build the website? How do you connect with your audience, right? And then we could even start thinking about, well, what are the extra products we could sell them? And content might be around that, but you have to understand where they are in that stage.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said before, so many business owners that I see, they find these marketing tools in their toolbox. They pull them out because someone has told them this is successful, or maybe they think their competitors are using something, and so they use that. And maybe they're using that at the wrong time of that buyer experience. And so while they may say SEO doesn't work, I mean, SEO does work at the right time for the right company. Do you guys agree with that?
It's just an interesting story I'll throw in about SEO. We had a company that did kind of, I'll say, micro machining, which is lasers in the word, right? And they spent a lot of money on laser, and they were getting 1,000 leads a month for laser engraving, something they don't do, right? So you could spend a lot of money, but you could spend it all in the wrong places. But if you're not thinking about who you want and what you do, then most of those tactics, you don't get the ROI that you do. And so it always kind of goes back to basics, like who's your customer, what do they want?
Definitely. Well, Dan Klein, Jeff Roberts from Spoke Marketing, thank you very much. Again, you can read the complete article on this customer buying journey at the link below. Dan, what's the best way to get in touch with the folks at Spoke?
You can send an email to info@spokemarketing.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, and we will talk to you next month.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.